How's it going, Hillary?
Oh, can you guys hear me now?
Is anybody attending in person tonight?
Quinn just walked in.
Okay. I was planning on attending in person. I just got delayed, so I'm starting on my phone as I'm driving, and I will join more completely without driving distractions in a bit.
Okay.
Paul, you're joining virtually, and Hillary, you're staying virtually, right?
Yes.
Okay. It's 5, so it's not late yet.
Yeah.
But I'll text him if we need to, and we can always start without.
Okay. We can start with 3.
We have 4.
Hey, everybody.
Oh, there's Darren.
Yep. So we've got Paul, Hillary, Quinn.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We have everybody but Debbie.
Okay.
A little preoccupied today.
So they're practicing.
Yeah. I know, but they're all doing stuff and touring the building.
Oh, there. Okay.
They're all. I don't know if she's involved with it, but I know council members have been around the building today doing things.
Their retreat begins tomorrow, I think.
Yes.
Are either of you participating in that?
No.
No.
No. But Jason Bench will be. Ryan Clark will lead the presentation from our team.
Okay.
And since you guys are all spread out, I'm not gonna.
So I guess let's go ahead and start. Welcome, everybody. And let's see. Oh, Sarah, sorry, I haven't seen you yet. I haven't looked at my Zoom well. Hope everybody's staying well. So I think our main order of business is to follow up on our discussion from our retreat and sort of discuss some of the, discuss in our areas, some of the goals that we want to accomplish. So is there anything else we need to talk about? Okay.
I have something that I'll expand upon when we talk about like our different areas reporting out on that.
Right. That's right. You said, oh yeah, you've got, you know, we usually do some announcements and so forth, and so Yeah, I guess we can just let each of us do it as we talk about our area. So, does,
And before we Rachel, don't we have an item on the agenda first?
Yeah, we need to appoint a new chair for 2022,
oh,
or just appoint a chair for 2022.
Does it have to be new?
It doesn't have to be new. Typically, I think it's an anonymous vote. I don't know how to do that over
Does
Zoom.
it say that under the code?
I just know that's how we do it in planning commission.
They could email you.
Do you guys have any intellectual memory if it's been anonymous before?
no, I don't think we've ever done anything anonymous here.
I've been
And-
the first in my career of hearing of anonymous votes for this, so.
Oh, okay.
I mean, for boards and commissions, I'm sure the planning commission does it, but that's not necessarily the norm.
Okay. So if you guys are all good with doing that, then we can just do it however.
Let's see, so this is the end of my maybe second year being chair? Does that seem right?
I think that's right.
Um,
Sarah, when did you step down? Do you remember?
What's that? When did
When did you step down from being chair?
I think I did it two years.
yeah, and I think it was 2 years ago. Anyway, I'm happy to keep doing it, or I'm happy to let someone else do it. It seems like 2 years is a good run. So I would be delighted to let somebody else have a turn. Because right, I think Sarah was our first, and then me, and I think it's great to rotate this around. So is there anyone else who would like to do it?
Darren, I'm comfortable with you continuing. You've been doing a really great job. I'm also in a better position to do it than I was last year. If you want a break, I'm okay with that as well.
It's not a super hard job, and so I'm happy to continue, but I do feel like it might be nice to let someone else do it as well. Quinn, if you're willing, I would be happy to step aside.
Let's get everyone's perspective. Where they have capacity and interest. Sarah, Paul, and Hillary. What are your thoughts?
Hillary, are you muted somehow? You unmuted, but we couldn't hear you. Paul, do you have some thoughts?
I think you've done a great job, Darren. I'm happy to support you moving forward, but I think Quinn would also do an excellent job, and I'm happy to support him as well. I would not like to put my name forward at this time.
Sarah, do you have a view? If you're talking, Sarah, we can't hear you.
She's in the car on the way to the city building, Darren.
Oh, I see. Okay. And it looks like Hillary may have dropped off to fix a technical problem. And it looks like Debbie has joined us. And here comes Hillary, possibly, or her dog. We aren't sure which.
It's me.
Yay!
I think you've been doing a great job, Darren, and I think Quinn would also do a great job. I don't have the capacity for this right now, but I'm happy to be a part of the committee. So yes to interest, no to capacity for me.
Okay, well, that makes it unanimous that that everyone is up in the air, and between you and me, Quinn. I do think turnover is a good thing. So I will say that. I don't know if precisely now is the time for turnover. Well, it might be a good time for turnover, right? Because I don't know, just 2 years seems like a reasonable amount of time.
I agree. I think that it, you know, even though you've been doing great, Darren, and I love that you still have capacity and interest. But I think that kind of a 2-year rotation simplifies things and just kind of gently shakes things up a bit. And
Yeah. Okay. Quinn, is that okay with you then? I would like to nominate Quinn as the new chair of the Orum Natural Resources Stewardship Committee.
Is that a motion?
That is a motion.
I would second.
I'm still in charge. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Hey, and hey, Debbie, nice to, any opposed? No, okay, great. And hi, Debbie, welcome, nice to see you.
Yeah, I don't know what my assignments will be going forward because we just got a new mayor, but till they tell me, I'm sticking with you.
Okay, good. That's awesome. Okay, great.
But Darren, we need a new vice chair.
Oh, okay, we need a new vice chair. That's right. So you had been serving in that post, right, Quinn?
Yeah.
Okay. I heard from Hillary and Paul that they didn't have chair capacity, but I mean, it might be nice to do a full rotation. So I maybe rotate me out completely. So maybe I would make a good vice chair. Either Hillary or Paul, might you be willing to be vice chair?
Is there a specific duty that goes with that, or just as needed by the chair?
Yeah, I think, well, I guess Quinn could speak better to this, but the main role, I think, is to just chair the meetings if the chair can't make it. Is that right, Quinn?
Yeah, that's right. And there's a chance I might not be able to make it a couple of times in the year, so it would be a role that would be used, I think.
I would be willing to do that.
I will move as well then that Paul be the vice chair of our committee.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, any opposed? Great. Okay. Well, Orum, the city of Orum this week, probably. Go ahead.
My comment is that the risk of this is that you don't continue to do all the awesome stuff you've been doing, and we can't afford that. So I want to hear some enthusiasm for you to continue to do all the cool stuff you're doing.
Well, I will absolutely continue to be a integral part of this committee, and I have not. My enthusiasm for this committee has not diminished at all. I really enjoy it, actually. I plan to remain as active as possible and being as much of a pest as possible.
Glad to hear it.
Okay. Great. So, Quinn, would you like to help lead the rest of our discussion?
Sure. So a couple of things that I think will come up in the course of our regular conversation, but I want to make sure that we save some time for. By way of announcements, we have the Utah Lake meeting, which is coming up in 5 days. Do you want to speak to that, Paul?
Yeah, so this is sponsored by Conserve Utah Valley. And it's also, I don't know if sponsored's the right word, but being led out by Representative Kevin Stratton. And it's going to be a longer summit. It starts at 6:30, I believe, on Tuesday night and goes until 9 o'clock. You don't have to stay for the whole thing. But it's at UVU campus in the science building, in their auditorium there. It's a pretty big auditorium. I'm hoping that we'll be able to distance effectively there and things like that. But it looks like they've got a good panel put together of experts to discuss the ecological system of the lake, what we know, what has been improving, what are still some issues, and then also, of course, to address the ideas of development on the lake and what the potential fallout of those developments might be. So it'll be very interesting for any person or community that has anything to do with Utah Lake and is interested in its future.
So I'm hoping to make it just at least part of that. Debbie and I were at a special city council meeting on Tuesday where Utah Lake came up. It was a meeting with the legislative representatives that impact Orum. And I just wanted to flag that since the Utah State Legislature is in session in January, and that a lot of what happens to Utah Lake depends on what the legislature does, that this would be a good month for us to prioritize this. And let's just make sure that that comes up in our conversation today as people report on their individual responsibilities.
Yeah, I was definitely planning on raising it. And also on this specific event that's happening Tuesday, I checked with Ben Abbott, one of the main organizers and movers here. He says that there will be a remote option available. Just sign up for it, and then they will, for everyone who signed up, they'll distribute a Zoom link. So.
Oh, that's great. Darren, do you want to kick us off and walk us through how you saw the priorities in your two areas of focus for the year, and where you want us to weigh in?
Yeah, sure. Happy to do that. So on the one, so my main sort of issue area is land use, and the main issue there was the Crandall Orchard and other possible orchards, right? And we made a lot of progress last year on this, and right now the ball is in the Crandall's court, actually, because they need to resolve some family matters with respect to ownership and sort of how much of their property they want to put under easement. I have not yet been able to circle back with them on that, but it's hard to make precise goals there. But the most likely goal is that we will assist them in preparing an application with the state of Utah for some money to help pay for the easement, and also assist them with there's federal funds available as well, and community fundraising. But before I can be more specific about what we might need to do, I need to meet with him about their plans and desires. So I'm not sure there's much to really discuss there. On my other one, which is sort of political relations, I have tried setting up a meeting with the new mayor. He hasn't really responded to any of my emails, but I'm not sure I've got the right email. I was just going to wait until he was inaugurated and I could more officially contact him through a secretary and an official email. And so I plan to do that soon.
I can weigh in. I've heard that he's going to be meeting with people on Tuesday afternoons and Thursday afternoons is what I've been told. So he's going to have very limited hours. So I would have you work with Christy ASAP, but that's what I've been told when he'll be in the office.
Thank you. Christy is the mayor's assistant, and she was the same one I worked with when I contacted.
Yeah,
Mayor
same person, Christy Snyder.
Okay, great. Great. I will call her tomorrow then and get on his calendar. But the other new council member, whose name just slipped my mind.
Lene Millett.
Yeah, Renee, thank you. She has been quite responsive and we have set up a meeting for next week. And so I'm just sort of, I'm sort of doing, you know, and as far as like, you know, ideas that we had as a committee, I would say, so we didn't, to be fair, we didn't have a lot of time during our brainstorming, right? And so some of the ideas that, a lot of the ideas that people had were fairly generic, which is fine. I remember mine were very generic as well, because we only had a couple minutes per thing, or if that. But one of my favorite ideas was that we have some kind of activity with the council. Maybe a hike or a walk or a tour of something or a bike ride. I really love that idea, and I think that would be, you know, as far as the criteria of doing something that has a reasonable impact for not much effort, that would be something worth organizing. So I would like to work towards organizing something like that. With respect to Utah Lake and the council, I also noted, you know, Sarah sent out an email today about how Provo City just passed a resolution with respect to lake management, and that American Fork would soon be doing the same thing. I had been in touch with Provo City about this and got a copy of the resolution. And I wanted to suggest that we make this a priority immediately. That was one of our concerns at our retreat, was the speed at which the Utah Lake matters are moving. And Quinn just noted that the legislature's in session. I think it would be great if, so two things I would suggest. I would suggest that the Orum City Council meet with someone like Ben Abbott, who is a very qualified scientist who has studied the issues and knows them very well, and is an excellent at presentation and providing facts and information. And I would also like to suggest that we recommend that the City Council pass a resolution that is the same as Provo's or very similar to it. And so I'd love to hear any discussion of those two ideas right now.
I'd like to add, I think it's a good idea to get on one of our upcoming work sessions. You might want to ask the mayor if you, when you meet with him, to see if you can do that. I think it's going to be timely. And so, but you want to, we only meet twice a month, so it'd be good to get on one of our meetings.
And as far as resolution, that would be something that would be drawn up by you?
Well, yeah, I mean,
Actually-
I could assist with that. This shouldn't be hard if you want to base it largely off the Provo one. If you want to advance this forward, that can be done by, again, this committee, one of the committee's purposes, to make recommendations to the council, so you could recommend that they consider that resolution or something like it.
So considering the timing, if we wanted to make a recommendation before we next meet in February,
Yeah, I
could
think
we do that like through an email, or
I
would we
would
have to
say
meet or
no, because
something? Or-
you're
recommendation today.
yeah.
Yeah, why don't
I would
we-
say conduct business over email because it wouldn't meet the
Okay,
Open
the public
Meetings Act. But you could make a general recommendation today, just
Okay.
saying we recommend the council adopt resolutions similar to the one done in XYZ locations or
Okay.
cities.
So
Yeah,
we meet, so we meet again on the 25th of January. It's too late for the 11th, so if you want to do something, you could try to get on our 25th meeting.
Well, and the legislature starts the 18th? Yeah, it starts on the 18th of January, the legislative session.
So that timing would work.
Yeah. I think, I think that our committee today should draft a motion if we're amenable to it. We can continue to discuss it, but the city council adopt a resolution that is essentially the same as Provost. Should we, is there any comment on the nature of that Provo resolution? Have people had a chance to look at it? Sarah sent it around this afternoon.
I read it, Darren, and I liked it a lot. I don't know if we want Orum to just copy the exact resolution, but maybe our motion could be that it's similar in intent and spirit or something like that.
Yeah, I would second that. I read through it and thought it was very good, and that we should suggest that our city do something similar in idea. Doesn't need to be word for word.
I actually think that given our new mayor and council's very cautious approach to development, that this, whatever the ecological impacts are, the development impacts are going to be something that they're going to be sensitive to, and that we might be able to find common cause on this.
I would hope so. Sorry, my wife just dropped something. If you heard a big clatter. Okay, well, it sounds like we're in agreement then. So can we take Quinn? I mean, Quinn, I thought you came very close to a motion. So can we just assume that was a motion that we recommend that the Orum City Council adopt a resolution on Utah Lake, which is similar to that of the, or maybe I'm doing that now. They're similar to that of the city of Provo in intent and spirit.
If I may weigh in, I'm sorry to be a legal buzzkill in the room. That's why I'm here. So part of the Open Meetings Act requires that the public notice that we issue as part of holding this meeting is required to include an agenda that shall provide reasonable specificity to notify the public as to the topics to be considered at the meeting. Each topic shall be listed under an agenda item on the meeting agenda. Now, practically, maybe nobody would care. Maybe this committee is not under that level of scrutiny, but I do think there is some cause for concern to make a motion on an item that's not been listed reasonably specific on the agenda. I mean, because the agenda just said that you're going to prioritize your goals for the year or something more or less to that effect. So what I could do, I think, as maybe a middle ground, is communicate your interest without making a formal vote or recommendation to have on your next month's agenda to ratify your discussion here.
And in the meantime,
Get on the working session.
Well, yeah, like I said, that I think it would be okay to say there was a informal discussion because of the urgency of the matter in the state legislature. I'm advancing this discussion to the administration and the council for the consideration put on agenda. This was suggested or recommended. However, a formal recommendation to you will be pending to meet the Open Meetings Act. You know, I could communicate to them like that.
That makes sense to me. But I think we need to communicate it. Debbie, do you have any comment on that?
We're going into retreat this weekend, and I can bring it up as an area of interest. But the formality of it all and when we actually can have it on, we'll just need to make the inquiry. But I can certainly bring it up as something that there's an urgency of us looking at that.
Is your retreat going to include a discussion about Utah Lake? Do you know that yet?
No, but it's not. It also has other agendas, other like miscellaneous things that we can each bring up individually. So we're looking really at State Street Master Plan, maybe a new city building, and other, capital revenues and, taxation and stuff like that. So it's not specific, but I can bring it up under my time.
Well, I think that sort of the legal fine line there is they have other issues for discussion, and they're not actually making any formal decisions or actions. If the council were, I'd say, if I was their advisor, I'd say time out too. You need to put that on an agenda.
But as far as like bringing it up for a discussion.
Because they haven't noticed as other items are for discussion. Although it's not specific, they're not making any action on it.
Right. So we'll keep the ball rolling.
Yeah, and just to bring it up as an item as something we'd like to maybe add on one of our work sessions coming up, I think that's easily done. And then it's not formally moved on until, in a work session, we're not doing anything in work sessions. And if it's something they want to move forward with after a work session and talking about it, then that formally gets on a city council where we actually, formalize it.
I think that sounds like a great plan. So Debbie, you're bringing it up at the retreat. You're bringing it up through official channels.
Okay.
And then we're going to ask you get on the working session. Darren, will you do that?
Yes, yes. So I will talk to the mayor about this and with Lene about it as well.
Okay, that's great. And then Rachel, can we get it on the agenda for our next meeting too? That'd be great.
And Debbie, were you able to look at the language of the resolution? Are you familiar with it? And are you more or less comfortable with it? Because I'd like you to be comfortable with it as well.
Yeah, I looked through it and there was nothing that I was not in support of. And I'm really good friends with Shannon Ellsworth, who's on the Provo City Council. And we're going to meet next week and go to lunch, and we'll really get specific, and she'll educate me on exactly what they're looking at. So I'm comfortable. I didn't memorize it by any means, but I did give it a cursory look and I was comfortable.
Great. And yeah, Shannon's a good person to be friends with here. So that's great. And plus she's a great person anyway. Glad to hear you're friends with her.
Yeah, we meet every month for lunch.
Oh, that's great. I love Shannon. Okay, that's the end of my discussion of my areas.
Okay. Paul?
Yeah, so my two areas are active transport and events. I had a hard time charting them out with impact and ease, to be honest. But I ended up putting a lot of weight on items that came up multiple times, so that several of us put the same thing on their sticky note. So I thought that maybe those should receive a little bit extra weight. For active transport, the things that came up multiple times were, to build on one of the things Darren just brought up, doing some sort of community or city council bike ride. So something where we could sponsor, and kind of like one we did this year with the Provo Bike Coalition, and ride our bikes around different parts of Orum and kind of get a feel for what is it like, where do we need better bike infrastructure, etc. And also just to get together and talk and get to know each other and have a good time. So I think that would be something I would like to work on, and that actually can count as both active transport and an event. So double dipping there. The other one on active transport that came up several times is to continue to work on working with city planners and engineers on the master plan and the active transport plan that is, 12, I think 12 years old now. But from the feedback that we got from the last poll, there was a lot of interest in the city for better bike trails. And so I think we could continue to work with the city engineers on that. So that's something I would definitely like to do to update our active transport plan. And then for events, in addition to the sponsored bike rides, there was several of us wrote that we wanted some sort of sponsored walks and or hikes. And I think that would be a very good thing as well. We could even do like a Utah Lake shoreline walk or hike to tie into Utah Lake awareness and connectedness. There was also one that I thought sounded like fun. We talked about this last year after we visited the Wilkerson farm, but some sort of orchard or farm tour / crawl where we could visit some of the local farms and or orchards and talk to the people who run them and invite the city council and community in general to come along and kind of like a pub crawl, but it's an orchard crawl. Maybe sample some food along the way that's grown locally. So I think that those would definitely be things I would be interested in working on this year.
I'm so excited about that one.
Me too.
I think last year we just kind of ran out of time.
Yeah.
If we started planning it in June and did it in September or October, I think we can pull it off. We need to market it well and make sure we have a good model. I love that.
Maybe in February, a Love Your Lake campaign.
It's cold in February on the lake, but there's often these really awesome ice flows that come in,
right?
These beautiful piles, and there's no biting insects. So it's a good time.
Now, I have a question about the bike ride. I know years back, I think UDOT or UTA funded kind of the ride with the mayor, ride to work day. And that kind of fizzled out. And I don't know if it was just that the funding ran out and they had to reprioritize elsewhere, but I don't know how much the city funded that versus UDOT. But I know that we have had in the past, like a ride, some snacks in the morning and then, ride the canal trail or whatever.
How many people would come to those, do you know?
I'd say a decent amount. I mean, I don't know. I'll just make up a number, like 40. They had families and kids and stuff like that. And I think there was one few years back where they got some, it was Cycle Fest. We did one round of Cycle Fest with the Orum Bicycle Coalition organizing it, and they got some e-bikes that you could demo, and they gave the mayor and his wife and some other council members, maybe Debbie, I don't know if you rode one of those, the e-bikes, and that was a lot of fun. And so I don't know.
There was something up at Timpanogos Park up Provo Canyon, and I did ride an e-bike, and I loved it so much I bought one.
Did you? Yeah.
Yeah, and I love my e-bike, and so I'm all for the bike ride. I got my bike. Let's go.
Oh,
and of course, Tom McDonald is a huge cyclist, so he'll be all over that. And I don't know about the rest, but yeah, that was fun to introduce us. And I'm sure there's an event we can do that's either family oriented or specific to the city council to get us out and seeing something you want to show us. Either way.
So one idea, Paul, that is different than when we went with the Orum Bike Coalition. So I felt when we went with the Orum Bike Coalition, that we just kind of showed up and then they just kind of took us on the route. And I think it would have been helpful for me to, for them to show us a map of all the bike lanes in Orum, show us where people are actually biking, show us where the gaps are, and then take us. So I think it would require a little bit of research and communication to say, here are the strengths and the weaknesses of our current bike grid. And I know in the fall, I was talking to a lot of people about transportation, and some people are really nervous about safety issues on their bikes. And so it would also be useful, I think, for us to think a little bit about where it feels safe to ride a bike and where it doesn't, and how that impacts people's willingness to bike.
And maybe kind of cross-pollinate some ideas and have stops along the way where maybe there's some beautiful xeriscape yards that can demonstrate how water-wise landscaping can be done, and in among the neighborhoods on a bike ride. That could be another.
Yeah, I like that idea, so that you go into certain places and stop and talk about something and then go on to another place.
Another place that's featuring solar panels, and you have kind of like this bike ride where you have stopping points where you're going to have a chat about whatever this feature is. Maybe it's a business that's doing really well at energy or water or waste or whatever, and so then you have these interest points where you can stop and talk about them.
Yeah. Or orchards.
Or orchards, yeah.
Or parks.
Yep.
We could go. By then, we could go to the Water Tank Heritage Park potentially site as well, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think if we can do those things, that would be a raging success. Was there anything else you wanted to highlight with events?
No, those were the ones that I thought kind of came out on top. There were a lot of good ideas, but I think that those would be the ones where we'd want to focus our energy.
Okay, there will come a time where we have to decide if we want to do anything at Summerfest. And the answer might be no. But if you could put that on your agenda to think through that. There are some events that we can choose to participate in or not rather than create. And that's one of the big ones. Yeah,
there was one of the notes said bike valet services at Summerfest, so that's an idea.
Okay, let's just think through it so that we know if it's a good use of our time.
Can I make a point on that? The Thursday part of Summerfest is more of the family day. And if there's something you want to do with bike safety or do a little bike, have kids ride around different things, cones or something, that's really a nice thing on the Thursday. You don't have a lot of other people and it's a family day. You can start at noon, and I don't know. That Thursday is our designated family day during Summerfest. So if you did nothing else, I guess I like the idea of getting kids out. I like the idea of teaching them how to maneuver through cones or do a little obstacle course or something like that. So
fun.
Just throwing an idea out, or show them how to, wear their helmet or something fun. Make a game. You can make a game where you give away something.
And Paul, we wouldn't have to do that. We could ask the Orum Bike Coalition to do that and see if they do it, right?
Right. Yeah. I'm hoping to partner with them on some of this stuff. Yeah.
Have you thought about having like a booth at the farmers market sometimes too? Be fun.
That was also one of the
Probably
suggestions. I've never done that, and so it went very didn't go very far on my ease axis. That sounded hard. But
That'd be, you know,
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, we could do a farmer's market booth and you know, emphasize different things on different weeks.
I think that sounds fun. But I also heart the farmers market in a big way.
we could delegate that to Hillary, Paul. Get me off your plate. Okay, thanks. Hillary, why don't you walk us through your thoughts?
First I have to show that I'm forever a student, and I actually did it. It was very fun. That was very fun. So I had social media and water. There's a lot of crossover with those two. So a lot of folks on the water said that we really need to publicize the smart meters, really talk about those and talk about how they're a conservation tool. So I see some really exciting stuff that we can do on social media. Like we can make little videos and stuff. I'm not going to go into the TikTok land. That was hard for me. That was a no for me. Matt and I are going to sit down and do a calendar for the year of social media posts. So I think that'll be really fun. And also a suggestion that I liked a lot for the water, which a number of people had, was to highlight xeriscaped yards, even especially there if there's like a before and after that people have kept for a few years. That'd be really cool to do, kind of the beautification awards for landscapes that are native or low water use. I think that sounds really fun, and I'm super into that. That's it. There was some other, you know, like a little bit of Utah Lake on mine. And I think the idea of going on a walk at Utah Lake with the council sounds really great. And then there were some about like the Great Salt Lake and stuff, but those seemed a little bit more distant for me. So I think really hit the water meter stuff. I'm super excited to learn how to use that. Eventually, you know, analyze water data, you know, in the next couple of years as we have some, see how water use behaviors change. That's super interesting. And that's it for me. I love your lake. I think that's fun, Sarah. I'll totally do that for February.
And it coincides with the legislative session. They're in session
Perfect.
in February.
I'll call you when I have ideas.
Maybe last time I mentioned that Neil Winterton would be willing to take us on a tour of water spots in Orum.
Oh yeah, like springs.
The wells and springs, essentially. Yeah. So the infrastructure. This is an open question to the committee. When would we like to do that? Winter, spring, summer?
Spring.
Spring for springs and spring. And Debbie, has the council ever done that kind of a tour with Neil?
We do more of the water reclamation stuff and the big stuff up on the mountain. We've taken the tour with Utah Central Water, Utah, is that what they're called? Whatever, Central Utah Water. But we know where all those are. We have maps, but we haven't taken a tour. We've only gone to the big stuff.
If we invited the city council, do you think we'd get any takers?
Probably Lene and me.
Okay.
But you know what? You never know, because some of them have flexible schedules, but a lot of them work. But I think Lene are the ones that don't have other jobs.
Okay. Well, that's just a proposal for us to think about, maybe in April-ish. And I would be interested in inviting city officials to that with us, if you're comfortable with that.
I think you can always make the invitation, and if some people come, it's great.
Okay. on my nightstand right now, I have a history of the Orum Water District. I'm reading. It's a lovely read.
You are exciting is all I can say.
Can I get
Yes.
a copy? I want to read this too, actually. Where did you find this?
I'll pass it. I got it from you. I'll pass it on to you when I'm done.
I'd love it.
Okay. All right, Sarah?
Yes. Again, it's always tricky trying to figure out where to place these. I did mine too, you can't see it, but I did mine. Up here is diplomacy and down here is waste. So, the couple things that, I mean, obviously there were some general things, but I chose to narrow in on a couple of things. On the waste, I had several that were about just improving education, getting more education in social media on the process of recycling and where our waste goes, and composting and glass recycling and all of that kind of thing. I know that, and promoting the recycle app, the app that the city has. I know that the city has been doing a lot of that already. They regularly promote in their social media, Recycle Coach, that's what it's called, which already has embedded a lot of education if people want to go further into, you know, recycling education and waste education. I kind of think that there's already a lot of that being done that I don't know if our efforts would move the needle a whole lot more. I think it would take a lot more work from us to move the needle a little bit on that, since the city is already doing a lot of that. I think that there is room though to expand on the glass recycling promotion, and, you know, a little bit more on compost and food waste, but that might be, I don't know, we can look into that. That was a little bit lower down. But the one idea that I thought could be doable, it's a little bit self-serving, it's a lot self-serving, and that was the, you know how the city does the annual spring cleanup? I don't know, Paul, that was your idea about the free pile? Or somebody included, so, you know, they have the big dumpsters, and then there's, you know, to have a designated part that has the free pile.
Which is usable stuff.
Which is usable stuff, which I, you know, I think I saw like a table and four chairs in the dumpster, and it was really disheartening to see this. So I don't know how many of you are familiar, but for over 10 years, I have hosted twice a year at the city center park, what's called a free swap. SWAP stands for Sharing We All Prosper. And I shared with you a link to a blog where I've, you know, took, you know, pictures and wrote a little bit about how that goes. It's essentially like a pop-up free yard sale. And so that's been, the first one was in 2012 at the city center. I started in my neighborhood a few years before that, and then moved to the city center in 2012. The city now, I have a partnership with the city to waive the pavilion rental fee, for which I'm very grateful. But yeah, it averages probably about 500 people per event.
You started this?
And, you know, give or take, but it's, again, lots of people really like it. We haven't done it for the past couple of years for obvious reasons. Hoping to maybe do that again this year, but I don't know if that's something that we could kind of join forces and take brand recognition of the free swap in this community of free swappers. You have a lot of repeats. And kind of connect it with the city's existing cleanup and have a section where there is a free swap section. And so when people come to drop off to do their cleanup, then there is a section for that. And I think it could be a great partnership. Also, one thing I wanted to do with the free swap to expand the educational opportunities, because you do have this audience walking around, is to have maybe some lawn signs throughout the event that talk about how the free swap benefits and saves on water and energy and fuel costs and increases a sense of community. And so all of these environmental and community benefits that come from supporting the free swap, but kind of formalize it a little bit more in having educational signs at this event where you have this captive audience that really is excited to be there. So I think that could be an opportunity for us to expand our education. There are several Saturdays during those spring cleanups. And partnering with the city, we might be able to tap into staff and volunteers, expand that as well. So I really like that idea, obviously.
Sarah, so Christy Snyder, the city administrator, secretary to all of them, she coordinates that whole spring cleanup. So she's the contact person that you would want to find out when they're going to do it. She gets it all organized and gets everything ordered. So I meet with her ASAP and
okay. And is that something that if the city were interested in kind of incorporating the free swap section of the cleanup, would Kenna be the person that I could talk to as far as community outreach and volunteers?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yep.
And then as far as the diplomacy goes, so there was a comment about gathering best practices from around the area and improving our branding and marketing, improving city buy-in, two other thoughts and ideas. And then the Utah Lake, that was another comment that came in. And again, I think we're already moving on that. The other thing that I wanted to mention was so the Utah Valley Growth and Prosperity Summit, Hillary and I were there. I was invited to speak as one of the panelists on one of the breakout sessions. And then I reached out to Curtis Blair, the CEO of the Utah Valley Chamber of Commerce, who's kind of heading that up. So this Growth and Prosperity Summit, they want it to be an annual event, and they want to establish a task force that, instead of just once a year saying, yeah, this is great, this is what we want to do, but kind of formalize a task force to look at metrics and benchmarking and that kind of thing. And so I reached out to Curtis and I said, hey, I would love to be on this task force if possible. And a couple weeks ago, he invited me to a lunch and offered me the position of chair of this task force. So I was flattered and honored and intimidated. So I'm hopeful. The optimist in me is hopeful that could be an exciting opportunity for sustainability to be.
What is it called?
The Utah Valley Growth and Prosperity Task Force, I think, is the working title.
What is its mission?
Well, that's what we're gonna work on. But the summit was in October at UVU, and so they have these kind of subcategories natural resources, health system reform, education and workforce development, housing gap, transportation and infrastructure, business environment. So they're gathering people from the chambers, business, governments throughout the valley to talk about how we're growing and how we want to grow. And so I'm grateful for that opportunity, but obviously intimidated, but we'll learn, and I'm excited to again hopefully bring sustainability as more of that overarching instead of a peripheral topic.
The fact that you did share that is just awesome. Comments for Sarah?
I just want to say we just met with our legislators, and if there's anything, I think they're going to be very receptive to what we have to say as far as, residents of Utah County. If you see a bill or something, write them or have me write them. We made a kind of a pact that we would support each other and help each other, and so, but be sure to put in the byline, where you live, because they get so many emails that they'll take the people that live in their area where they, you vote first. So I just want to say, be an advocate. If you see something you really think is a good, obviously housing and sustainability and water, all these things are going to come up. So let's all lobby, our legislators, our senators, the House, and they were very good and very receptive. We just had a big meeting with them the other day. And so I would just encourage you to do that, but make sure they know that you are one of their constituents and not just another concerned citizen. They tell me they'll always open the Orum or the Provo or whoever that they first and foremost. So just a hint.
Okay. Any other comments? Just body language from Matt.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Well, I've been here since 5 a.m.
It is 6 o'clock. I propose that I'll present mine next time. That's okay, everybody. My areas are energy and awards, and I'd like to do the same thing you guys did, but I'm conscious of our time.
May I make a request that each member of the committee type up their 2 or 3 goals that they have and send them to me, and then we can create a goal list for the year.
Is everybody comfortable with that? Shooting an email to Matt, copying the committee, please, with just summary of what you presented tonight. That would be great. I have a couple of things at the end. Darren, I don't know if you had any other things that you wanted to bring. I have a couple of things at the end too. You're okay?
Okay, please go ahead.
Okay, we need to approve our minutes, and I have one correction to the minutes.
I saw, is it about hydroponics?
Yeah.
I corrected that.
Okay. So, Hillary, you were missing from our minutes, and just wanted to make sure you were in there. Was Hillary here? Yeah, so let's replace Heidi with Hillary.
Yeah.
There. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes from December?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from December
As corrected.
as corrected.
I'll second.
All right, Darren seconded it. One question, do we have a date where we are going to be presenting to the council? Yep.
I know it's tentatively scheduled, I think, for March, but I'll confirm.
Okay. Can I propose a few agenda items for February? And if anybody else has agenda items for February, please jump in. Hillary, since you're meeting with Matt on the social media plan, would you be willing to present the social media plan in February?
Yes.
That would be great. We have Utah Lake resolution for our agenda, right, Rachel?
Mhm.
I'd like to have an item on preparing our city council report and a discussion of awards at that meeting. If that's okay. Matt, would you be willing to report on green team at the city status there in our next meeting?
Yeah, I can.
Just an update as to where we are at with that. And then one idea that I'd like to open for discussion, it might take a few months, but 5 people, even as awesome as you and I are, we have limited capacity to do all this cool stuff that we have been planning to do. And I'd like to open the idea of creating what we call NRSC affiliates of other citizens in the community who might be volunteers that help us out with things, even if they're not formal committee members. So if we could put that as a discussion item, maybe toward the end, if we run out of time, we can push it back. All right. Does anybody have any other things they want on the agenda for next month at the moment? Okay. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll move to adjourn.
I will second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Nice to see you in person, Sarah.
Yeah.
Nice to see everybody.
Thanks, Darren.
Bye.
Thank you. See ya.
Still recording.
How's school? Has school started for you yet?
It starts on Tuesday night, unfortunately, so I won't be able to go to the Utah Lake. But I have, I think my first class is Tuesday night. So last semester was rough. It was rough. So this semester is a little bit more simplified for sure.
It was rough because it was too busy.
It
Can I
was.
stop the recording, Rachel?
Yeah.